Hi, and welcome back to smallcaps.com.au. Blake Reed here, guest host. Today we're talking rare earths and gallium. It's extremely topical at the moment with critical minerals and other commodities supply in question, governments investing into quality projects and securing supply chains, as well as the discussion about global investment into advanced technology and many of these rare earth elements. Today, I'm excited to be speaking with Paul Dickson, who's the chairman of Axel Ree AXL on the ASX. They're a company developing rare earths and gallium in Brazil's Lithium Valley. Some impressive results out of Axel Ree so far, and more recently this year, in the last couple of weeks especially, a reported 233 million tonne inferred rare earths resource and 100 million tonne inferred gallium resource, positioning it pretty uniquely with a dual commodity exposure. We'll unpack about your business today, Paul, about in-situ recovery and your strategy there, your timeline to trial mining, and the gallium opportunity. Paul, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Blake.
Absolutely. Excited to get this started. Paul, probably first question for you. For any viewers out there that are new to Axel Ree, can you give us the high-level thesis and what makes your company more than just an explorer?
Certainly, Blake. Well, we've only been listed 16 months, so not a long time period. And in that time, as you mentioned, we've already announced two JORC resources, one in gallium and one in rare earths, both of good grade and good size. And we still have $8 million cash in the bank. So in 16 months, we've achieved that. And then we certainly plan to do trial mining next year. And we're focused on achievements. So we want to move from an explorer to an emerging developer.
Fantastic. And I guess from a capital markets angle, your recent presentation deck highlights a valuation gap versus your Brazilian peers. Can you maybe talk through the opportunity that you see there?
Certainly. I mean, we have an EV or enterprise value of around $6 million, which is not great when you consider that we've got those two JORC resources. And when you compare that to some of the other players in the market, you know, BCM have an enterprise value of 45 million and Meteoric 377 million. So there's plenty of potential for a re-rating of our stock. We think we're being valued as an early stage explorer, and people probably haven't had a good look and see what we've already achieved with our JORC resources. So we're a company that's looking to advance those JORC resources and actually do trial mining, as I mentioned, and move up that valuation curve and close that gap. I think also part of it, just quickly, is when we listed into an equity market that had corrected 50%. And we came into a wall of selling on day one of our IPO. So it takes a while to build trust and to change your share register with new investors. It does take time. But we just think that if we can make achievements all the time and tick the boxes, that we will get rewarded.
Yeah, absolutely, Paul. And it's fantastic to see you advancing the project. That's what many investors want. There's a lot of exploration companies out in the market. But what really can make a difference is, you know, you keep progressing, keep showing numbers and moving your project into, you know, commercialization eventually, right? So yeah, good on you. And it's great to see so much action coming out from your side. I guess let's dig into the resources that you do have. Can you walk us through the Calideo area, your rare earth elements and gallium numbers? And what does that mean operationally for your business?
Well, the two resources we have are in Area A. We have two main areas, Area A and Area B. It's 420 square kilometres. This is a massive area. It's district scale potential. If this was in WA, you'd probably have 10 companies who would have tenements there. It's that big an area. Area A is where we have those resources, and we're currently doing a more advanced metallurgical test work, and that will continue over the next 18 months, you know, always trying to optimize and improve your recoveries. And we think that Area A will be amenable to heap leaching with the rare earths and the gallium. Interestingly, the gallium sits on top of the rare earths, and it's a high value product. So whereas that might in other mining operations be an overburden and be a cost, for us that should be a revenue line item, and a very good one. The gallium market is not a very large market controlled by the Chinese. They control 98% of the market, the world market, and most of it comes as a byproduct of bauxite. There are not many pure, discrete resources that are just gallium, and ours sits on top of the rare earths.
Paul, how about Area B? You mentioned in some previous communications to the market it could deliver a premium mixed rare earth carbonate. What gives you confidence in that?
Well, this was only our announcement last week, and that was for us. It was really important because the actual metallurgical results showed that we should be able to produce that mixed rare earth carbonate, which is a high premium product. The reason it is you get a very high proportion of magnetic rare earths in that concentration, up to 40%. So when that happens, you achieve a premium price for your product. And that's what it means. That's why when we do our trial mining, we're going to be focusing on that area.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Hey, Paul, let's talk about in-situ recovery, or ISR for short. I know it's a big part of your strategy over at Axel Ree. Not widely spoken about, though, so it might be new to many of the investors watching today.
Yeah.
Can you talk about in-situ recovery and what are the advantages?
I can probably talk for a long time about this because being chairman of Alligator Energy, we're doing a trial mine of in-situ recovery as well. So I've lived and breathed it for the last 4 years. But with rare earths, the Chinese have been using in-situ recovery since 1980. Initially, they didn't use the right type of reagents, let's say, or to actually extract the rare earths. But since 2010, they've been using magnesium sulfate. So it's a well-tried, true, proven process of mining. And magnesium sulfate is Epsom salts, something that we've all had a bath in, I dare say, over our time. And I have a magnesium swimming pool, so it's very safe. And environmentally, it's excellent. With in situ recovery, we have small hills, and you inject the water mixed with the magnesium sulfate or the Epsom salts, and you saturate the soil. It naturally, with gravity, naturally falls to the bottom, and then you have horizontal wells that come in and actually accumulate all of the water. That it's called a pregnant liquor solution, and that contains the magnesium sulfate or Epsom salts and the rare earths. And you actually, I'll say, suck it out of pipes and store it into containers, and then you process it from there. So that's the process. You can recycle and reuse the magnesium sulfate. Environmentally, it's not going to cause any damage, and proven, tried, true technique been used for quite a long period of time.
Yeah, that's incredible, right, Paul? And we're just speaking before this, and you mentioned that the market is staying away from calling it in situ leach because leach has its environmental problems, but this seems like a really environmentally friendly way of extracting your rare earths out of the ground.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk your project and where it's up to at the moment. Do you have a benchmark comparison in the market? And can you tell us about the economics, about what else might be out there compared to what you've got currently?
Absolutely. The Gerik mine in Malaysia is the one that we think is going to be an excellent analog for us. And I say going to be because we're still only at early stages in Area B, and we call it the Woolwich area. It will become the Woolwich deposit when we have our JORC resource out on that. We may have a preliminary JORC resource out on that at the end of December. And that area, the Gerik mine has capex of $20 million, so it's not expensive. You compare that with Meteoric, where they're looking at $403 million US capex. In situ recovery mining is relatively cheap on capex, also on opex. It's important to note that Gerik mine is actually profitable. So investors may look and say, oh, you might only have 120 million tons that you're looking at doing in situ leach with or whatever. But that's similar size to the Gerik mine, and they're profitable and they're operating successfully. But you don't necessarily need to have, 500 million tonnes that's actually in production. And we all saw what happened with Syra with some of those big capex and large projects. I'd much prefer to have one that's a nice size that we can fund appropriately and make good money from.
Sure, absolutely. And not having to overspend to get into production, keep it lean enough where you can see
Absolutely.
revenues sooner rather than later.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Paul, we've talked about rare earths. Let's talk about your gallium angle. It is interesting. It is eye-catching, something that differentiates you. How are you looking at commercializing the gallium that you have? Are you looking at going direct, partnering up with someone in the area? What's the strategy there?
Gallium's $1,500 per kilogram. It's a high value product. As I said before, it sits above the rare earths, and we've got two main areas in Area A and in Area B, and we feel that the results are starting to look better perhaps in Area B. We'll know when the JORC resource comes out at the end of December. But I think it may be a different process than we're using with the Woolwich deposit, and we just need to do some more metallurgical work to improve recoveries there to help decide the mining technique. But it may well be heap leaching that is the way to extract the gallium. Heap leaching again is low capex, so it's not as if we're going to need a lot of money to develop it. But that said, we're already attracting interest from players interested in the gallium. And would we partner with someone? Absolutely, if the right deal came along. We don't have to be all things to all people.
Absolutely. Now, Paul, let's talk about trial mining. That's something that you've mentioned, which is a strategy for Axel Ree moving forward. Can you talk about the logistics around what trial mining is, how it's different to undergoing a PFS and a DFS, and what the thought process is from your side to go down the trial mining route?
Sure. So with trial mining, we anticipate that will cost up to $3 million to fund. We do need to build the team a bit better. We need better skills in the team. You don't have mining engineers, you have hydrogeologists, you have chemists that actually do a lot of the work. A lot of this it's very different. And I know that from my alligator days that's what you need to is build that team. But as I say, it doesn't cost a lot to do the trial mining. And it's really important because you get information that you will put into your pre-feasibility study. And they won't be desktop, they won't be estimations by people, there'll be actual hard numbers, real figures. And the importance of that is understanding your ore body, understanding what type of chemicals you need to put in. They're not really, they're magnesium sulfate. But it's understanding how everything interacts, understanding the flow rates, how much liquid you need to put down, and where you have your monitoring wells. So there's a lot of information that you get that goes into the feasibility study that fast tracks development. It fast tracks development with actual real numbers, and it shortcuts that process of where other parties may go down and drill detailed go from inferred to indicated to measured and indicated and take all that time that you need to do. It is a great trial that actually where you understand the ore body and understand the type of recoveries and metals you get out of the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, it really seems like an eventful next period for you and the team. You mentioned you've got plenty of cash in the bank ready to deploy to advance your projects. What does the next 18 to 24 months look like? And are there any key milestones to look out for over that period?
Sure. At the end of December this year, so we're already well on the way, is that we will anticipate having our maiden JORC resource in Area B, and that will be for the gallium, which will be to the west, and then also in the Woolwich area an inferred resource there. And that inferred resource in the Woolwich area is likely to grow. We've been talking internally, and it might just be a nice little starter amount that where we do the trial mining. So that will be the first milestone. Following that would be there's consistent metallurgical work that will continue on over the next 18 months or thereabouts. So there'll be from time to time, there'll be updates on the metallurgical test work. And then in gearing up for the trial mining, we need to add people, the appropriate people, buy equipment, and we may need to do additional drilling. You need to drill injection holes and you need to drill extraction holes in setting up the trial mining. I know I've just been through that, as I say, with Alligator, so I know it quite well. But we anticipate starting that by mid-year next year. And that would be our next major milestone. And we think, as I say, that that will leapfrog us ahead of many of our other competitors. And I just make the point that the Lithium Valley is a fantastic place to do business because it's in the middle of nowhere, but it does have good roads, and there are other mines, the Sigma Lithium mine there with good infrastructure, so access to power and water and the like. So a good place to do business, but that's what the next 18 months will look like, getting results from the trial mining, and then that would move into a feasibility study.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great to hear, Paul. As I mentioned, there's so many exploration companies out there, especially on the Aussie market. So to stand out, keep progressing the assets that you have and keep sharing news to the market. So great to hear that you've got a solid plan in place and some key milestones to look out for. Paul, it's fantastic to have you on to present today. Thank you so much for the update. A lot to keep an eye on for Axel Ree in the near future. We'll be following with interest. The ticker is AXL on the ASX for anyone wishing to follow along. We'll be keeping updated. We'll be sharing news. So keep abreast for that. And thanks again, Paul.
Thank you for your time, Blake. I really enjoyed it.
See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.